please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
LTCG, local cues or global markets, whatever you call it, but the Lal Street witnessed a brutal sell-off today. The Nifty opened lower and continued to see a sell-off to end at the low point of the day. That should be on your screens in just a bit. Sensex also followed suit and plunged almost 800 points, barely managing to hold on to that 35,000 mark. Mid-caps witnessed a carnage and that index fell more than 4% in today's trading sessions. You have the Nifty, you have the Sensex, and let's pull up the mid-cap also for you. That also saw a brutal sell-off. This was the indices' worst fall in 2.5 years. Anuj Singhal is here to decode this sharp slide. Anuj, it was needless to say a bloodbath across the board today.
Ugly day for the market today, and yes, the mid-cap index was down about 4.5%. But the fact is that today the market had a brutal sell-off in the index as well, in the Bank Nifty in particular, and a lot of stocks were down. Now, of course, there are local factors as well, but there are global factors as well. And while a lot of people may want to blame the market fall on the long-term capital gains tax, the fact is that that was a trigger and that was not a reason. The market has been warning about this for last 1 month. For last 1 month, we have seen market breadth quite poor. We have seen a lot of distribution in the mid-caps, and today some of these mid-caps saw some real ugly accidents. Just take a look at some of these stocks. PC Jewelers, despite the 60 or 70% intraday recovery, GMR Infra, CEAT, Just Dial, and some of the bigger mid-caps like BEML, Jet Airways, Reliance Capital, PVR, and what about the large caps, the bluest of blue chips, Maruti and Bajaj Finance. So quite clearly there's a lot of selling pressure which was there. There's one school of thought which believes that even the Rajasthan bipolls, which indicated that there was a huge negative swing away from the BJP, may have also impacted sentiment a bit. So it was a combination of a lot of factors, of course, bond yield and a couple of other factors as well. What next? Obviously, the market is now going through a flushing out process. The first genuine correction of the current bull market. There's a good chance that you may see further margin pressure, especially in the mid-cap stocks. So time to look at the portfolio once again, and that's the point we've been making for the last 1 month now. The large caps may lead the recovery, but the market will give you signs of that as well, just like the market gave signs of this fall as well.
Okay, so as you put it, Anuj, ugly day across the board. Now, this is just a short-term blip. India remains the best emerging market. That's an important market voice. Morgan Stanley's Rhythm Desai on the fall that we saw in the markets today. But in sharp contrast, Samir Arora of Helios Capital argued that India will underperform its peers, at least in the near term. On the other hand, we saw Atul Suryalia today saying that he remains bullish on India, but also warned that a 5% correction could be around the corner. So a whole host of market voices with diverse views. Listen into what they had to say today.
My conclusion from this underperformance in the month of January was that the market had started pricing in long-term capital gains tax. You know, the market is a damn smart animal, so somehow it gets the whiff, and obviously there was guidance from several quarters that there could be the case for capital gains tax. So to my mind, that explains the short-term underperformance that India has suffered. That said, I think India's growth story looks a lot more attractive than the average emerging markets. And that, I think, will continue to be the case in 2018 with just one caveat, that is oil.
According to me, India should now, unfortunately, underperform global peers, emerging market peers by 5 to 10%. Whether that means a fall or an underperformance, I think is more or less its economics. For 10 basis point of return, people are willing to put billions of dollars into a IPO where they themselves will make not even 10 basis points. I have never in an IPO made more than 10 basis points of my own NAV. Because if you have a $1 billion fund, you will get $5 million. On that $5 million, you'll make 20%. So you'll make $1 million. So that is 0.1%. So for that, how much effort we do, how much analysis we do, how many meetings we do, how many love letters we write to the management so that our NAV can change by 5 basis points. And here they say, oh, leave out 150 basis points, doesn't matter. Absolutely wrong feedback to the government.
If you look at portfolios for the last month, they have been negative. So I feel that the correction has been ongoing. Yes, we had a union budget and long-term capital gains, so you had some talking points. But I think it will be all forgotten, and we'll move back to sync with global markets. I'm very bullish on India. I think on a 2 to 3 year time frame, I have a 17,000 target, and I reiterate that. But every bull market does not have every month that is positive. So you're going to have a few months of negative. I think that we could see a correction of up to, just pure Nifty, it's about a 5% correction. However, the mid-cap index, the mid-cap Nifty, I think it should be around 10%.
So across the board, the reason why you saw the fall was the confusion and clarity with respect to long-term capital gains tax and how exactly this impacts investors. And here's the biggest clarification coming in on that. This was the apt moment to introduce long-term capital gains tax on equities. That's the word from none other than Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Speaking exclusively to Shireen Bhanade after delivering his fifth budget, Jaitley said that markets will eventually realize that India is one of the most soundest economies in the world. The Finance Minister also spoke about the government's showpiece budget announcement of the mega healthcare scheme, that delay in the rollout of the e-way bill, divestment target for FY19 and a whole lot more. Listen in.
I want to ask you about the markets at this point in time. We have seen a significant fall, especially in the mid-cap sides. And the worry is that the government is continuing with the STT and, of course, has reintroduced the LTCG. Is there any possibility of a rethink on at least the STT, sir?
Well, let me tell you, the STT has conventionally had a very nominal impact itself. And I think we had consciously taken a decision, which I've already explained in the course of my budget speech yesterday with regard to the LTCG. And therefore, these are decisions which are taken after a lot of deliberations.
So there is no possibility.
As far as the markets eventually will have to realize that India is one of the soundest economies in the world today. India is one of the fastest moving economies in the world. And the kind of expenditure we are going to be taking in the course of this year is certainly going to help India, which is poised for a very good growth this year itself. And ultimately, it is the intrinsic strength of Indian economy on which investments into India and the strength of the markets in India itself will depend on.
So one quick question, sir. As far as growth itself is concerned, now you're factoring in a 7.2% growth, and you're pretty confident of the tax buoyancy, both as well as GST as well as direct taxes are concerned, sir. What is giving you that confidence? And specifically, I wanted to ask you a question on the e-way bill, because that was taking off yesterday, but it's faced some technical glitches.
See, our own experience has been that whenever we've started this, just as when we started the GST itself, the software system gets overloaded in the first instance. And then when it gets overloaded in the first instance, it stabilizes after a couple of days. They've had this problem yesterday, and I'm sure the GSTN and the concerned authorities are looking at it.
Okay. So one quick question also on the disinvestment targets. Do you feel confident that just like you were able to exceed it this year, you will be able to exceed it next year as well? Does that give you the additional revenue cushion?
Well, so far I'm looking at the 80,000 crores, and I think I'm quite comfortable with 80,000 crores.
And Air India, sir, by when do you expect that process should...
The process is in motion, and I don't think it's fair for me to comment on a day-to-day basis in it.
So
it's going on well.
What would be your biggest challenge at this point in time, sir, outside of oil prices which are not in your control?
I think it's always a challenge for anyone to implement the ambitious programs which you have announced. The MSP is a very ambitious program. The healthcare is a very ambitious program. And I think implementing them, really, the success really lies in that.
One final question, sir. On the healthcare, you've allocated 2,000 crores as a start, sir. What is the broad estimation in terms of what it could take?
I think the estimation would be after the Niti Aayog and the concerned ministry negotiate with various the insurance organizations. And once they did that, it's only then that we'll be able to have an amount. Whatever amount over and above 2,000 crores is required, I'll certainly make it available from the budget.
Okay, some important areas of clarification coming in over there. Just one day after the big budget, the biggest voice right here on CNBC-TV18. We will take a very, very short break on that note. But up next, cryptocurrencies are seeing a major sell-off across the board. Law and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad told CNBC-TV18 that cryptocurrency facilitates terrorism. More on this very interesting viewpoint on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Having a terrific run in the last few months, cryptocurrencies have started to see the euphoria fading. Almost all virtual currencies are witnessing major sell-off, with Bitcoin falling below the 9,000 mark on concerns over tighter regulations around the world. Now, staying with that very theme, we spoke to Law and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad yesterday after the Finance Minister mentioned cryptocurrency in his budget speech. Remember, Jaitley said that the government is against cryptocurrency. Hear out what the Law Minister had to say about the reasoning behind the government's stance.
Whenever you look at a currency, in India we have got the photo of Mahatma Gandhi and the signature of the RBI governor. On a pond in America, in England, there is the photograph of Queen Elizabeth and the signature of the authorized officer there. Who owns cryptocurrency? Who is going to be accountable for its legal tender? And therefore, should we allow it to facilitate terrorist operations, corrupt activities? So we thought over the matter, and I was also a part of that group of ministers led by Arun Jaitley ji. And we have said no. But remember one thing, blockchain we are encouraging, artificial intelligence we are encouraging, robotics we are encouraging.
Okay, so as far as the entire IT and emerging technology gamut is concerned, that is being encouraged by the Law Ministry, but cryptocurrency is a big no-no. We'll have to move on to earnings then. This is the big earnings of the day. Bajaj Auto reported a weak set of numbers for the third quarter. Net profit came in at about 952 crore rupees, missing street expectations, while the margin saw a contraction of about 130 basis points on an annual basis. The revenue saw a jump of about 26% on a year-on-year basis. Management told CNBC-TV18 that three-wheeler segment saw an improved performance. They also guided that margins will improve going forward. The stock, in fact, was one of the few stocks that were in the green in a weak market. We'll have to take a very short break on that note. But up next, Bikaner District Administration swings into action after CNBC-TV18 exposed. Here's a big CNBC-TV18 story just a few days after we exposed irregularities in the implementation of the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Officials in Bikaner have swung into action. CNBC-TV18's investigation exposed how NREGA cards have been bought and sold. Local newspapers highlighted the CNBC-TV18 report by Archana Shukla and forced the Rural Development Ministry in Delhi to swing into action. The district collector of Bikaner has ordered an inquiry. Here's a quick glimpse of the CNBC-TV18 investigation that prompted this very action.
जॉब कार्ड में जिसका नाम लिखा है वो यहाँ काम करने आते हैं।
कई बार मोल ले रहा है।
कई बार मोल लेते हैं।
कई मोल लेते
मतलब खरीदते हैं।
खरीदते हैं।
जॉब कार्ड खरीदते हैं। और कितने में खरीदते हैं?
5,000 रुपये के 4,000 रुपये भी हम बेबते पैसा कहीं देवे कौन याद है। सारे कामों में ऐसा होता है, ऐसे सरपंच और ग्राम सेवक करवाते हैं।
आपके संज्ञान में एक भी ऐसी बात नहीं आई है जहाँ पर ये मस्टर रोल खरीदने वाली जो हम बात कर रहे हैं?
एब्सोल्युटली नो।
आप अपनी समस्या मैडम को बताइए।
3 जॉब कार्ड आपसे मंगाए थे।
पैसा मेरे को लाते हो।
When we reached Panchu village square, a group of villagers were discussing their NREGA payments.
73,000 रुपया लेबर आया।
1,73,000 लेबर का मिला।
और मेटेरियल दिया कौन? ना पैसा दिया ना मेटेरियल दिया।
सप्लाई वो करते नहीं है, सिर्फ कागजों में करते हैं वो।
जब ये डिलीवर करते होंगे, जब माल डालते होंगे, तो कोई तो साइन लेता होगा ना कहीं पे कि किसको दे के आए हैं।
वो तो फर्म वाले सर
के मालिक का या
हम कैसे पूछें? ये तो आपका
हम पूछ लेंगे।
ग्राम पंचायत की जिम्मेदारी वो अपने सही लेवल पे निभा रहे हैं कि नहीं, ये तो कौन देखेगा सर?
नहीं, वो निभा रहे कि नहीं निभा रही है, तो ये स्वयं जो आ रहा है जिसका काम नहीं हो रहा, या तो वो बताएं।
And Archana Shukla, who did this investigation in Bikaner, is joining us now. We also have the district collector of Bikaner on the phone line. Archana, over to you.
Thank you, Kritika. We have with us Mr. Anil Gupta, collector of Bikaner district. Mr. Gupta, thank you so much CNBC के साथ जुड़ने के लिए। पिछले हफ्ते हम लोगों ने ये रिपोर्ट चलाई थी कि मनरेगा के काम में कुछ इरेगुलरिटीज पाई गई है। आप इस सिलसिले में इंक्वायरी कर रहे थे। स्टेटस बताइए सर कि इंक्वायरी अभी कहाँ तक पहुँची है?
जो ये स्टोरी जो चली थी उसके आधार पे हम लोगों ने क्विक इंक्वायरी की थी तो टोटल इंक्वायरी में ये पता चला है कि कुछ जगह काम नहीं हुआ है और उसका पेमेंट हुआ है। तो उसमें हम लोगों ने जो प्राइमा फेसी जो रेस्पॉन्सिबल ऑफिसर्स हैं उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई की है और 3-4 लोगों को हम लोगों ने सस्पेंड किया है।
तो ये पता चला है कि जॉब कार्ड वगैरह जो है खरीदे जा रहे हैं इन गाँव में?
ये पूरी तरह से एस्टेब्लिश नहीं हुआ है अभी, एस्टेब्लिश नहीं हुआ है, परंतु ये जरूर एक केस में सामने आया है कि वो काम हुआ नहीं है और उसका पेमेंट वगैरह हो गया।
अच्छा।
इसको कुछ अधिकारियों को सस्पेंड किया है।
मिस्टर गुप्ता, दिल्ली से एक हाई लेवल टीम आई थी, मनरेगा के डायरेक्टर पॉलिसी आए थे इन्वेस्टिगेशन करने के लिए, उनकी स्पेशल रिपोर्ट क्या कहती है?
वो इंक्वायरी करने आए थे, उन लोगों ने हमें कोई रिपोर्ट सबमिट नहीं की है और हम लोगों को इंक्वायरी में साथ भी नहीं रखा था। वो अपने इंडिपेंडेंट टीम इंक्वायरी करके गए और वो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया में ही शायद रिपोर्ट पेश करेंगे।
जी, तो अभी आपकी जो इनिशियल इंक्वायरी हुई है उसमें इरेगुलरिटीज आपको दिखी है, इसके आधार पर अब जो आप आगे इंक्वायरी करेंगे, क्या आप उसका स्कोप बढ़ाएंगे या उसे इस ब्लॉक तक ही रखेंगे, या अब आप मनरेगा में इरेगुलरिटीज है या नहीं ये पूरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में देखेंगे? और कोई टाइमलाइन वगैरह आपने सेट की है कि इतने समय में आपको इंक्वायरी खत्म करनी है?
पहले हम लोग जो जांच आपने रिपोर्टिंग की है, स्टोरी आपने की चलाई है, उसके आधार पर पहले पांचू और नोखा में कर रहे हैं, पर इसके अलावा भी जो हमारे और प्लॉट्स हैं उसमें भी हम लोग चेक करेंगे। तो इसमें थोड़ा सा समय लगेगा, तो एकदम से अभी ये कहना कि हम लोग महीने भर में या 2 महीने में या 15 दिन में करा देंगे, ये संभव नहीं होगा। हम लोग इसमें टीम बना रहे हैं, टीम बना के शीघ्र इसमें इंक्वायरी चालू करेंगे।
सर, एक आखिरी सवाल, जब हम नोखा और पांचू में थे तो वहां पर हमें ये समझ में आया कि इस तरह की चीजें, इस तरह की इरेगुलरिटीज जो हैं वो बहुत वाइड स्प्रेड हैं, मतलब लोग एक्सेप्ट करते हैं कि काम मनरेगा के यूं ही होते हैं। आपको लगता है कि अब आपको अपनी इंक्वायरी का जो स्कोप है वो भी एक्सपैंड करना पड़ेगा, हर तरह के काम देखने पड़ेंगे आपको उसमें?
देखिए, हम लोग जब जांच करेंगे तो इससे संबंधित सभी पहलुओं पे जांच करेंगे।
शुक्रिया सर हमसे बात करने के लिए और समय निकालने के लिए। वेल कृतिका, ओवर टू यू। दिस वाज अ गुड इन्वेस्टिगेशन and we are hoping that there would be some more action into this inquiry, after this inquiry.
And congratulations Archana for that impactful story. But with that, we're completely out of time on After the Bell. Many thanks for watching, but stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. All the market action of the day will be lined up on the other side with Markets Today Talk Back, which is up next.